All right, hi guys. I'm here with Caroline and Tim, and we are going to talk about Nietzsche as soon as we get started. So why don't you guys this is gonna watch that. So here's why I decided to do Nietzsche, for no apparent reason. And Tim and Caroline don't even know what the creative shame reduction experiment is. So I'm going to explain it. I don't really know what it is. That one's going to. So basically, how, as Tim was saying, Nietzsche's, that's the time lapse. Nietzsche's thing is, how do we live? Right, Tim? Do you want to talk about that a little bit while I mess with the cameras?
I will say.
How do we live? How do we live our lives?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Please.
And we'll explain why you're an expert.
I read Nietzsche not as a philosopher who's trying to define what existence is or something like that. He's talking to us about how should I live my life. That's the ultimate question that he poses, right?
Yeah.
Right. And you were saying earlier that philosophers like Kant and Heidegger, that wasn't really. It's almost like he was a self-help guy. Was Nietzsche kind of like the original self-help guy a little bit, or one of the original self-help guys in the West?
No.
No?
No.
I thought that was kind of
self-help would be taking it too far.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, sometimes he reads like an impassioned social scientist. So he's trying. So that's his maybe his career. His ugly career, but his beautiful career is how to live, and also, like many philosophers consumed with the question of how to live, he thinks he's involved. He has to figure out metaphysics, because a lot of philosophers.
All right, metaphysics, self-help.
Metaphysics meaning God.
Yes, God, self-help.
Well, that's but I mean, it would depend on is now maybe that's what it is. Like now our God is self-help, but then his God was a Christian God, and that was
right. But wasn't God kind of going out of fashion at that point?
Well, I mean, I would say too. For me, Nietzsche says, right, stop looking up, stop looking down, look straight forward, right? Look at the world that's around you, right, and live here in this space. And I think that.
In the actual.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm still doing technical stuff. Tell us how you're an expert on Nietzsche.
Oh, I am not an expert on Nietzsche in any sense.
Well, tell us where you learned. When did you first read Nietzsche?
I read Nietzsche in college.
Uh-huh.
And I particularly remember this book, The Gay Science.
Oh, will you hold? You have hold the book up. Hold the book up.
Yeah,
hold the selfie stick. Can you see?
I still have my old copy of it from college, right? It's even got stuff underlined in it still. I don't claim to understand the whole book, but there are definitely passages that I liked and I understood a lot, especially the part about eternal recurrence. And I don't know. Do you want to explain what eternal recurrence is?
Here we go. Eternal recurrence.
It's a thought experiment. The idea of eternal recurrence is actually an ancient idea. It's in Hinduism and Buddhism and some old Pythagoras, some old.
Okay, I'm just bringing in the whole other audience. Wait. I'm bringing in the whole other audience on the other webpage. So, just for a second. Hi, guys. So we're doing 2 Facebook Lives right now. I've got my personal page, Boo Trundle, and I've got my Elizabeth Trundle, my 2 identities. And so we're talking about Nietzsche. I'm having some technical problems, as usual. So we're going to handhold these cameras for this talk. We have Tim Lyons.
There's only one of me.
Yeah. And we have Caroline Kelly and me. And we're talking about Nietzsche, but this is the creative shame reduction experiment, so we're going to have to talk about shame also. And the idea for me around Nietzsche and shame is how do we live? How do we live with the burden of self? To me, shame is sort of the burden of self. So, says we're live on both cameras. Okay, so Caroline was just explaining eternal recurrence. I like to wear sunglasses. So she's going to explain eternal recurrence, and I'm going to do a little more technical work. So go ahead with the eternal recurrence.
Oh, well, for Nietzsche, it's a
Will
thought.
you hold the camera on Caroline so I can mess with my
Yes.
computer? There you go. Got
It's
it?
a thought experiment. The idea is, if you can, first of all, it's a dreadful idea to imagine that everything will happen in the same way over and over again. So every aspect of your life will be repeated exactly the same way again and again and again. And if
Is that horrible?
seems dreadful,
I guess it
given
seems
your
dreadful.
given your mood that day, it might seem dreadful, but it also might just be inherently dreadful because it seems kind of boring, or sort of like what the whole idea. We're always expecting. We want more. What's beyond this? What we want to live, for the future.
We
instead
do?
of living.
Yeah.
No, that's the
Why?
whole
Because it's so
idea.
painful to be in the present?
Well, and I think that the way I look at it too is, I think that he saw it in a way as people make compromises, right? And they're willing to accept compromises in their everyday life because it doesn't really matter, right? I'm getting to that future point, right? This will be over soon.
But what's the future
there's-
point? What is-
Well, the worst would be eternal afterlife, right? Some sort of heaven that's going to come in and save you, right? Which I think a lot of people would say that, say born again Christians will use as an excuse for burning down the forests and tolerating pollution. And putting up with all sorts of terrible things about this world. It doesn't really matter because this is not my home, right? Isn't that it's like
I don't know.
It's like a church song, right? It's like,
Okay, we're going to stop and meditate for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to, I want to
We're
see,
getting a little
okay.
ADHD for me. We're like going
We are?
all over the place.
Okay, that's
I didn't
fine.
answer that question.
Oh, okay, well,
Okay.
let's
Yeah.
answer it. Let's
Okay.
answer it.
All right.
Go ahead.
Tell
So
me
what
what
was
I
the
can answer.
question? That's okay, we'll
Well,
meditate later.
I
Why
started-
don't you answer, tell us what the question is and then
The
we'll
question
meditate.
is, what is eternal return? And I started out by saying it's
Oh.
a thought experiment.
Okay, so what is
Basically, if you
eternal
can-
return?
If you can bear the idea, it's an idea that if you're going to have to live over and over again, you'll live better with the awareness that this is going to happen over and over again. So you are settled and you accept everything and you sit and you become more aware of everything because you're not resisting it, because you're not straining for the future. And
So there's only one moment.
so it's in the gay science, it comes as a thought experiment, but it has it also signifies a kind of redemption.
Okay, can you slow down for 1 sec? Okay, so I just want to make sure I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I also heard you say that you thought we were getting ADD, but part of that is the technical problems. But I kind of feel like I'm at peace with the technical problems right now. Okay, I see you on both cameras. They both say live, so I'm just going to let it go.
Okay.
But I have to hold them. So,
You want
okay, so that's fine. So, okay, and as far as the eternal, and I want to ground it for everybody's watching. Eternal return or eternal recurrence?
Either.
Okay, and it's a Nietzschean thought experiment?
Yeah.
Okay, and what is a thought experiment?
Well, it's just like, what if?
Okay, what if?
That's
Okay.
exactly how it's phrased.
Okay, so what if this is the only moment and we're just reliving it over and over again? Did I get that?
Yeah, what if you were to be told that this life as you're living it,
Yes.
this
right now.
moment, every moment leading up to it, every moment to come, is never going to change. Every breath you take, every conversation, nothing is ever going to change, but you're going to relive it again and again and again.
This moment.
again and
Okay,
again.
for example, this moment.
Okay.
Okay, so let's meditate on that for 1 minute, okay? I'm going to count to 60. Just close your eyes. People watching too, let's just sit for 1 minute. I need to calm down because of all the camera work. All right. Just breathe. Okay. 10 years were the star of that meditation. Just accidentally, because the way I was holding the camera. This is like going to be really hard to do for a whole hour. All right, well, let me do one on Tim and one on Caroline. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I hope everyone enjoyed that meditation. I look like Ozzy Osbourne. Look, I can do that. Ah, that's better. You can hold it. There you go. But make sure you're in it. Well, the only issue is the mic, so we have to bring it in closer. There's something called the leading edge. I sometimes listen to this person named Abraham, her name's Esther Hicks, and she says she's channeling like a sort of a extraterrestrial sort of disembodied spirit named Abraham. I know it sounds really weird, but she talks about this thing called the leading edge, and it kind of reminds me of what we were talking about, where it's hard to explain, but the leading edge is sort of a place where time breaks down, and at the leading edge, everything's happening at once, and all of history and all of the past and the future is focused on this moment, kind of like the edge of a razor or something.
Yeah.
Is that all what we're talking about here?
Well, I would say yes. Yeah. Definitely, because you can call eternal return a philosophy of moments.
Okay.
And the moments are an omnipresent history. Everything is collapsed into now.
Right. So it's kind of like the be here now concept a little bit, but not as cheesy, because it's Nietzsche.
It's atomistic. It's kind of physical.
So quantum, you mean? By atomistic, you mean quantum?
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. What do you think about that, Tim? What do you think about quantum? Tim and Caroline are my guests, and they have no idea what I'm doing to them.
No, what I mean by that, because I'm not just throwing out the word quantum, but
I like to throw that word out.
It's a vision of time, of space-time, as something that is not chronological as we understand it, but a compacted moment. That's a moment of space as well as time. So if sort of the topic of this kind of whatever series I'm doing is it's a creative shame reduction experiment. Shame being an emotion that nobody really wants to be stuck in or feel. How do emotions interact with the eternal recurrence? Can I answer that quickly? Yeah. Just because that was eternal recurrence is associated with Amor Fati.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we're moving to Amor Fati.
As Nietzsche is basically against shame.
It is?
Yes.
That's what Amor Fati means?
No, I mean it's love of one's destiny. Yeah.
But love of one's destiny.
Well, love of one's fate.
Oh, is that a reading?
Proper.
Okay, all right, okay.
But basically, it's an associated with eternal return via the figure of Ariadne. It is because that's a complicated story in itself.
Okay.
But Amor Fati associated with eternal return is this idea the past. It's a self-abandonment via removal of shame and any idea of the past self and any Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted.
No. But I'm gonna do a little synthesis because I'm the dummy in the room. I mean, also just for a moment, let me just say, Caroline just finished writing her dissertation. She just sent it off today, I believe.
No, I got it. I've got a PhD and magna cum laude in December.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know. What did you do today? You said you did something today.
I did a mother-daughter book club.
Oh.
That was something called Good Omens.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm totally confused. But wait, no. You can't read yet. Everybody has to just hold your horses.
Read this whole
Okay, but I'm going to do the dummy. Yeah. I'm doing Nietzsche for dummies here. Okay. I was just pointing out how smart Caroline is and how well educated. And then Tim here also got all but his dissertation in Germanic languages and studied Nietzsche in German. Am I right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, but look at me. I'm Ozzy Osbourne. I know shit about Nietzsche. And I can't fix my hair because I'm holding a camera with both hands. Can someone fix my hair? Okay, thank you, please. I'm holding 2 phones. This is ridiculous.
Such grief.
But it's my fault. because I didn't get set up in time as usual. Oh, thank you, Caroline. My hair is always a topic in these things. Oh, look, there's a good angle. So, Nietzsche for Dummies. It's still messed up in the backwards time warp. Okay, Nietzsche for Dummies. What Caroline was just talking about was Amor Fati, which is a Nietzschean term that has to do with love of your destiny. Did I get that?
Yeah, it was love of one's fate.
Love of one's fate. And if one can grasp on to Amor Fati, love of one's fate, then there's no room for shame, because why?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at Nietzsche, you're looking him. He was the guy who said God is dead.
Right.
He was the guy who pissed off everyone.
A lot of us have heard that.
By saying at the wrong time, in the wrong place, God is dead. And part of that idea is that the Christian tradition shames. You're born, bad, having committed the error of original sin.
Right, which is all about shame. You mean the Garden of Eden? Original sin meaning the Garden of Eden. God comes into the garden. Why are you naked? Who told you were naked? God said, don't eat from that tree of knowledge of good and eatable. No, it wasn't about fucking. She was allowed to fuck. Oh, okay. I don't know why I switched to you there, Tim. I just feel like we aren't paying enough attention. Hi, Tim.
It was because we were talking about fucking, right?
All right, and let's change the subject. Okay. Is that too ADD? Can we change? Okay. Did we deal with Amor Fati enough, do you think?
No.
Should we come back to it? Are you going to read something, Tim? Did you have your book
No,
out?
I was
You had
gonna
your
say,
book out.
I like the term necessary, right? He says.
Oh, I love the term necessary.
I want to learn to accept what is necessary and say yes to it.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be a yes sayer. He says.
Well,
right?
what is necessary?
Yeah, and which means like it's raining outside. I'm not gonna go shit. It's raining. This sucks. Instead, I'm gonna go yes. It's raining today, right? And so.
Because it's necessary?
Well, it is necessary. It's happening. Therefore, it is necessary.
So reality is God.
Reality is fate, right?
Wow.
Reality is what's happening is what is happening, and you can try and negate it. You can reject it. You can accuse it of being wrong.
What Nietzsche is saying is to celebrate it.
Yes, to accept it and say yes. I'm going to love what is happening in life, right?
Yeah,
So,
and that
Dude, I can't switch over right now. I can't switch the camera angle. Can you come over, Caroline?
I can
Oh, no, you
I?
do it, yeah.
Okay.
There you
No,
go.
I mean, that idea is associated with the Stoic derivation of Amor Fati, the idea of loving what is necessary.
You're sounding
The
very
Stoic-
smart right now, but the Stoic... You have to understand that
That's not that
Ozzy
smart.
Osbourne does not know what you're talking about.
The
I don't...
Stoic.
What is the Stoic?
Well, Stoicism lived in the ancient Rome, ancient Greece, and the idea with the Stoics was that you can't change the world, but you can change your orientation to it. You can change what you have is your will. You can decrease suffering by monitoring an inner life to achieve something that they called sophrosyne. Sophrosyne is a state of contentment or happiness. And first, we have to consider that Nietzsche's most famous book, The Gay Science, literally means like the science of happiness. What year was that book written? With the
87 or something.
Okay, so I'm just going to say he was sort of working the self-help angle.
Well, he did say, let's say 3 maxims that he said. You might say, you have to bring style to your character. That's one of his his iterations of his commands of self-help. Bring style to your character. Become what you are. And go back to nature. That was another thing he liked to say. We have to bring man back to nature.
Become what you are.
Become what you are, which is this whole idea of character as destiny. Because becoming what you are is a practice and a discipline, but it's also a simple self-abandonment. Because what you are is not something that your subjectivity relegates. What you are is a, organism. In fact, Nietzsche.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so hold on.
Organism is
Let's
character.
synthesize that. All that stuff you just said. It was a lot. Tim, can you synthesize that for us? Can you summarize what Caroline just said?
No.
Oh, come on. You can do it.
That was very, very well put.
It was very well put. So
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to synthesize that.
You synthesize it, then I'll synthesize it again. Okay, so what did Caroline just say?
Well, one of the things that she was saying was bring style to your character, right? Be who you are.
And this is all stuff Nietzsche said in the gay science. But she started saying it was from the gay science. So this is all in the gay science? Right? Or
no, different places.
Yeah.
Essay Homo and Genealogy of Morals.
Right.
Okay. All right, become who you are.
He talked, so the become who you are, he talked a lot about herd mentality and sort of believed that a lot of people just sort of walked along and followed whatever was told to them, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of his big criticisms of Christianity, at least from my perspective, is not even of the religion itself, but of the fact that so many people just blindly followed it. They didn't even believe in the tenets of Christianity. They just followed them because they were handed to them. And part of his fear, like when he says...
You're supposed to be synthesizing.
Oh, okay.
Now you're like making, he's wrapping up. No, he's going off on a new tangent.
No, he's not.
Christianity.
You
didn't mention.
No, he is not.
Caroline did not mention Christianity. So
yes,
it's a synthesis.
Go back.
If you're summarizing, I know, but this is for the Ozzy Osbournes. Okay, I am representing Ozzy Osbourne. Not that he's not smart and that he's not a philosopher, but we're so there was talk about the Stoics and all this stuff. So I know I'm interrupting a little bit because I am the moderator. Okay, so. Be what you are.
Become what you
are.
Not be what you are.
What was the other one? Style.
Go back to nature. Bring style to your character.
Bring style to your character. And you're talking about the herd mentality is an offshoot. To be fair, you did not mention the herd mentality, so there's
a whole lot we didn't mention.
Right, I know, but we're looking for a synthesis here.
The sort of flip side to become who you are is don't just be a blind member of the herd.
Let's remember Nietzsche's free spirit. The idea of the free spirit.
Yes. Right.
Let's remember that.
Okay, let's remember. I'm not trying to stop him from being a free spirit.
Point.
Are you implying that I'm trying to stop? No, I'm just trying to be conscious of people who did not get their dissertation, like myself, in Nietzsche or Germanic languages or Emerson. I'm trying to summarize a little bit. I mean, if we get if we do an hour talking about Nietzsche and we get one or two takeaways, we're doing good. Okay. So, and also I'm trying to connect it to shame. So there's a method.
It's
there's
always
a madness
connected
to the method.
It's
everything's connected to shame. So I want to come back to the razor's edge, leading edge. All of this is one moment, and that is a way to escape from shame. Did Caroline say that, Tim? Did you hear that? Something like that?
I don't know. I'm not sure I understand the connection with the razor's edge.
Occam's razor, quantum mechanics. No, it's something to do with time. It's something to do with how, if you really let go of time, or if you really let go of like Caroline was saying, that we're an organism, right? That we're there's a self-abandonment. If I'm off, I'm off, and that's okay. But there's a self-abandonment that's implied in Amor Fati. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that self-abandonment that's implied by Amor Fati, which has to do with being who you are in a sense, and it is connected to the eternal return, because it's
not being who you are, but
becoming who you are. Okay, becoming who you are. Well, being is just all these words kind of become useless if you're really self-abandoning, because where's language going to even belong in that organism, right?
That's something Nietzsche writes about also. The problem of language.
Okay. We're going back to Caroline. Are you frustrated?
Me? No.
Okay. Are we still talking about Nietzsche? Did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The razor's edge just has to do with self-abandonment.
Okay.
And with like escaping from the organism. I mean, escaping from the concept of
See,
ego or like this kind of stuck in linear time, stuck in language.
That's why become what you are is so important rather than be what you are.
Okay,
because,
why?
Well, because
Here we go.
command or agency or anything. Nietzsche has, just to make it even more complicated, he's got this famous idea that there is no thing, there's no agency, there's no subjectivity.
Okay, go on.
And
there's no agency and there's no subjectivity according to Nietzsche.
there's no doer behind the deed is the quote.
Right.
That
is that kind of an Eastern
it's
concept?
basically the well, it's his. I mean,
right.
In the genealogy of morals, and
he
that idea is kind of complex idea that goes far in terms of what kind of fruit it's grown in current philosophy in this country, like gender is a construct, the ego is a construct, all of this. But his idea of ego is physical. He says character is temperament. He wrote that on the back of Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Okay, all right, can we stop there and
essays.
synthesize?
Character is temperament.
Okay,
I'm sorry. You're
saying a lot.
No, let me say it right, though.
Okay, say it right.
Organism is character.
Okay.
Organismus equals character. And
okay.
it's in Greek.
All right, Tim. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you can.
So, I mean...
No, wait, Caroline, you have to stop now because you're just saying a lot. Tim and I are going to mull that over.
But I can't...
So, Tim's going to synthesize all that for us. Are you having fun? Do you want to stop?
I don't think I've made my point yet. That's the problem.
Well, you'll get another. We're coming back to you. But for all of the viewers and for Ozzy Osbourne,
a physiological enactment of being as becoming. So in other words,
you have to. You really have
the whole purpose.
Wait, Caroline, we love it. We're going to come back to it, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm trying to make it clear.
Okay.
I need to hear the end of it.
Okay. All right. Go ahead then.
So basically, I was saying it's important that you say becoming and not being. You become what you are rather than be that what you are, because being is a problem in philosophy and in Nietzsche. The idea of being, you can't nail being. Everything is always becoming. There's nothing absolute.
Okay.
Always becoming. So that's a problem in philosophy. In metaphysics, the God is the being. It is the absolute. And in Buddhism, being is there. In all kind of creeds and religions, there's an idea that's unchangeable. And so becoming, rolls over that in its big tank of its own destiny, whatever that is. So there's a problem of being and becoming. And when I was saying,
okay, but I have to stop you now. I have to stop you now because I'm like, wait, Caroline, I'm going to stop you now. I love you so much. I'm going to stop now.
I haven't finished the point.
I know, but we'll have to come back to it because I'm lost.
Well, let me get to the point.
No. I need to just tell, but let me just see if I got this, okay? If Tim doesn't want to do it, I'll do it.
Right.
Okay.
You can start, Ozzy.
But I can start. Okay. Let me see if I got this. I know you haven't gotten to your point, and I'm going to let you.
I'm going to go back to the physiological.
I'm going to get there. I'm so lost that I have to assume that other people are probably lost. Okay, hold on, brother. Okay, so let me see if I got this.
Dancing. That's it, dancing.
Okay, I need a minute. Give me a second.
Just focus on those two words. Being.
And becoming. I got it. Okay, so it's okay. We have a policy on the creative shame reduction experiment that it's okay to sit and say nothing, and that's what we're going to do for a minute. Okay, so I'm going to just sit for a second. I'm going to digest, but you can think about what you said. I'm going to think about what you said, and Tim's going to figure it all out.
I'm going to think about other things.
Okay, go ahead. All right, so let's do a minute here of meditation, okay, because I'm like completely lost. All right, here we go. You too, people who are watching, just think about all that, or nothing, or just breathe. And then when we come back, it's going to be fine. meditating. What are you doing? Your eyes are open.
You can meditate with your eyes open.
Well, I don't think
How
you
much
can.
Recurrence says you should do.
You're
You're not supposed to close your eyes.
Who
That's
says
a
that?
cop-out.
Paramachandra?
Yeah.
Is that how you say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a cop-out. You have to stare straight ahead.
Okay. All right. So I don't know what I want to say about what you said, Caroline. I heard you say something about metaphysics again, and I heard you say something about being and becoming, and that being is a problem in philosophy, and that you said something about how in Buddhism or in Hinduism or in religions there's like a supreme being. Is that what you said? And then, but that in what Nietzsche was saying, and which has led to like a much deeper conversation in contemporary philosophy, is that becoming rolls over being.
The problem, no,
Wait,
it's not what
okay,
I
well
said.
that's my try. Okay, now wait, Tim's gonna make a try.
Heraclitus
Okay.
and Parmenides.
Okay, darling, let Tim take a try at that. We gotta bring it like a little bit into like lay person dummies. This is for dummies, and I missed it. You said what you think. What was it? Okay. All right. So just a summary.
No teacher I've ever had is watching.
They
this.
aren't. I wasn't able to.
Because
I wasn't
okay.
able to tag you. I didn't tag you guys, but
Right.
I will tag you when I
Right.
put this on
Right.
YouTube. But go ahead.
Right.
Okay. So how would you summarize what that last bit, which she hasn't quite gotten to her final punch?
So the concept of something being, right, which implies that there is an essential truth behind everything, is a challenging idea in philosophy, right? And
Take my sunglasses off.
if you believe in that, right? If you believe in this sort of essential way of like, you are Elizabeth, can you become, or like, can you reveal who you are? Can you discover who you are? Is actually kind of, it's a trap, right? It's a cop-out because it implies that you don't need to create yourself, right? You don't need to develop your own truth. It's there. You just need to uncover it. You were born with it. Some God or nature gave it to you.
That's being.
That's being.
Okay.
Becoming says, no, it's your job, right? You have this body, you have this mind, so become something. So.
Okay, wait.
Her look is like.
Okay, I took my sunglasses off. Okay, become something. Okay, but before we come back to you, because we are coming back to you. Poor Caroline over there. She's.
No, I don't want to argue being and becoming.
Okay.
Really old.
That's not even interesting to her, but it's interesting to me. But the thing for me is like in the present moment, like if eternal. So I guess I'm trying to figure out how eternal return and Amor Fati work together to relieve. Is there any relief in it? Because that's what this whole little shame reduction thing is. Relief from the burden of self. Relief from self-hatred, self-vilification, and we were talking about that a little bit with Eve and the Garden of Eden and the original sin, that there's this kind of assumption that we're fuckers, we've fucked up. Whether or not it's about having sex or not, excuse my language, but whether it's about having sex or whether it's about being naked or whether it's about knowing the original sin or knowing what God knows, that there's something we did wrong. And that's where shame comes wrong. Like, I am wrong. Like, I not only did I do something wrong, but I am wrong, and I don't really deserve to even be here. So is there any relief? Does Nietzsche bring relief?
Well, can I just say a nice quote from Nietzsche?
Sure.
Error is the mother womb of all knowledge.
Error is the mother womb of all knowledge.
Yeah, so he embraces error is not that, wrong is not that important, but good and evil is something that needs to be taken off their out of their absolute values and brought into a daily reality. It's not, basically he's trying to not make, your life is sacred.
Yeah.
These sacred things aren't outside of you.
Right.
Everything is within. So actually,
everything is within and everything is happening right now.
In
and everything is happening right now.
No, I mean, now is kind of eternity too.
Right.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Can I?
Do I have a question?
I'd like to take a shot
Okay.
at that.
Did I ask a question?
The irony here
Trying to
is
be
that
focused.
the passage in which he talks about eternal recurrence is called the greatest weight,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And he said, this is not a relief for many people. This could be terror. This could be your worst nightmare.
Eternal return.
Yes, because it means, oh, that dream you have of going to heaven after all this is over and you're going to get your eternal reward, it's gone. He's just pulling it out.
Oh, the
from under your
Christianity
feet.
dream.
Christianity, I don't think it's...
We don't really have that anymore, though, do we?
But it's not isolated to Christianity. I think that, even the thought of I'm going to die and then disappear into the darkness would, in this case, be sort of a fantasy, because it's like, oh, no, you're not.
Well, what do
you're
you
coming
think?
right back, and you are going to live this thing again and again.
Well, what do
and
you
again.
think? I think it's true. I think this is the only moment.
For me, I like what Caroline was saying, that it's a thought experiment. Because for me, it's not a question of like, is this metaphysically true? It's like, is this way of thinking a way of thinking that will improve your life?
Will it bring relief?
Not relief. Will it give you direction and inspire you to live a fuller life? Sort of like, sometimes you'll hear, and I'm sorry I'm like railing on Christians tonight, but...
don't rail at Christians.
Sometimes people will say, right, like, how can you be an atheist? Like, what a nightmare to think that after you die, nothing is going to happen. And, some atheists will say, no, actually that inspires me to live life to its fullest every day, because after it's gone, it's all over and there's nothing else left. To me, that's what Nietzsche is doing. He's saying, if you think you're going to have to live this moment over and over and over again for eternity, that's a nice incentive for you to, think twice before you tell a lie, because it's the easiest thing to do before you
So it's like
compromise
game.
your
So it's like
position.
a thought experiment is sort of a game, like a sort of a Zen koan or
Well,
something.
it's not necessarily out of shame, you may still lie, because
Can
lying
you hold this
is...
for a
is-
second so I can just take a break?
Which
Hold on, Caroline.
This one?
So you hold that one.
It's not to teach it. It's not to instruct in any kind of morality, and that's not the purpose of the thought experiment. But basically, it's associated with Amor Fati, which is that you're going to love everything that's necessary. That you're going to be a yes-sayer and love. So it's a metaphysics of love, is what it is. It's where you accept and honor and engage with and feel everything as it is. The presumption is that you're not doing that now. Is that whatever you're doing now is not understanding the sacred life that is within and without you at every moment.
And how does he suggest that you access that?
Amor Fati.
Because you can't really just do it intellectually, I don't think. You can't just be told about it and then suddenly you get it. I think it has to do, is it possibly to do with suffering?
Yeah, it has everything to do with the suffering. Nietzsche calls this kind of, Amor Fati also calls it Dionysian pessimism.
Mm-hmm.
And Dionysian pessimism is a kind of creative destruction. It's a kind of, not an embrace of suffering, but it comes from a tragic worldview. It comes from an understanding of the necessity of suffering and not a denial of suffering, which is what the problem was at the time, is that suffering and passion for, they are agonies that nobody wants to engage in.
So to
And
me,
he's just saying that
that
this is
kind of
important.
connects to the, wait, what's happening there? To me, this kind of connects to what Tim was talking about, so I'm switching back to Tim. You gotta forgive us for this horrible camera work, you people, whoever you are out there. To me, this connects to the herd mentality, because to me, the herd mentality is the denial of suffering a little bit. It's like, well, I'm just going to focus on my mortgage and my job, and I'm going to ride the subway, and I'm going to watch football, and I'm going to talk, and I'm not trying to rail on anyone either, but I'm just going to talk about basketball drafts all the time, and I'm going to just deny that underneath it all, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Right? I'm dying every single moment, and in that like every single dying moment, that's in a weird way could be Amor Fati, because if you're dead, if you're already dead, or if you're dying in every moment, you might as well just let go and love. Is that the idea?
So let go and love.
Let go and love. That's what Nietzsche was saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it is self-help.
No, self-help is
not going to cover that.
But it's hard work, right? It's not... the letting go to me doesn't seem Nietzschean in that I think that he's very much a like, no, this sort of like soft lack of thinking is actually the problem.
But when I understand letting go, I'm understanding self-abandonment. Abandonment of all the strictures of the censorious I, you know.
Okay, hold on a second. Abandonment of all the strictures of the laborious censorious I. You mean C-E-N?
The I that says
C-E, the censor. Is that a Nietzsche quote?
No, that's a Caroline.
Abandonment?
Who just wrote her dissertation
Okay.
on things that mean kinds of senses. Can you say it again? From time to time.
Abandonment.
I like it.
Can we say it again?
Yeah.
Abandonment of the strictures.
Strictures of the censorious I. So basically, we're talking about what self-abandonment, what love.
Yeah, we're talking about self-abandonment.
We're trying to understand the meaning of what letting go means.
Yes. I like it. I like where we're going.
And letting go means, I understand it as self-abandonment. Letting, removal of your own narrative of interpretation.
Yes.
And seeing something beyond that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that kind of removal.
I think you do it through suffering and through being present. And if you're really being present, then that's what I'm talking about, the razor blade, the razor's edge of like really being present. It's not necessarily pain, but it ain't comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's this quote from Brecht that I love that's related, right? Brecht says, "Sich vergnügen ist nicht leicht." Right? He said, so to enjoy yourself is not easy. It's not relaxing, right? And he was constantly telling people, the audience in the theater, like, wake up! Quit dreaming and imagining you're watching, some story unfold in front of you. You're listening to actors on the stage reciting lines.
Right.
And until you face that fact, you're not going to learn anything, right?
So it's something uncomfortable about that you have to feel this uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah, you're learning when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah. Right?
You're growing and expanding. But,
it's funny. Like, I feel like, Tim, you keep, I don't really know where, this is a nightmare. Okay. The camera stuff. Okay. You hold it. But the problem is it has to be close enough that they can hear us, so that's why I keep
it would be easier without this. I could just hold it with my hand.
Okay. There.
Do you want me to hold that for a while?
Okay. Well, now everybody's looking at me. All right. Well,
now
you can look at me.
Elizabeth.
But whoever.
Elizabeth
yeah. So whoever's talking gets to be on camera. Okay. We only have 10 minutes to go. You can't turn it that way. No. That's the whole problem, because I can't figure out how to. I'm gonna have to do that. So here's the thing. Eternal return and Amor Fati. That's what we're talking about in Nietzsche. And we've been widely ranging, but we keep coming back to it. And to me, it's connected to this self-help metaphysical concept of what I'm calling the leading edge. And it is a little bit quantum-y because it has to do with there is no time. There's no linear time. I always like talking about this, that Newtonian time is linear time. And that's kind of been disproven. And so what I'm hearing about Nietzsche, and my theory about Nietzsche, is that he was, so we have to hold it. It's not a good angle, you guys. You gotta make me look good. So Nietzsche, I feel was sort of, and you said he came to it on his own in this Western way, but it is a sort of Eastern concept.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, you didn't. Okay, what did you say? Go ahead.
He read a lot of Hinduism and Buddhism.
Oh, okay.
And my dissertation argues that he got it from Emerson.
Oh, okay. And Emerson got it from the Eastern.
Okay. Amor Fati.
Oh, okay. Okay.
From Emerson's essay circles. in particular. But
Wait, Emerson's essay is called Circles?
One of his essays
Okay.
was called Circles, but a bunch of them. Fate is another one.
Fate, okay.
So
we're talking about Ralph Waldo Emerson, a transcendentalist.
Nietzsche loved him, studied him, and
transcendentalist American philosopher.
Said he was too close to me to name. Said he was. Nietzsche loved him.
Would you call him a philosopher, Emerson? Do people call him a philosopher?
People don't tend to call him a philosopher. They call him an essayist. But that's also Nietzsche's thing.
They're just very close. They call him an essayist. Well, that's kind of prosaic. It's not very romantic.
Actually, essayist is really cool.
Oh, okay. I guess that's better. He was a mystic.
Essayist means it means tempter.
Okay, you're not allowed to hold the camera. People are getting dizzy.
Essayist means tempter?
Well, he has another quote in which the German word is translated. It means essay, tempter. It's what's the other quote that he said?
What is the German word for essayist?
You're supposed to
hold
know
on,
that.
I forget. Hold on. I'm trying to remember the quote.
Okay.
I will. It'll take a second, but
we don't need to know that.
Basically, your life is an essay, and
a try
for reasons because of my predilection. I'm going to French to look at essay to try. Is that what you said? A try.
Yeah, to try.
Yeah. So I mean but in German
I said that.
it's
Ozzy Osbourne said that.
So basically, life is an experiment. The whole thing is an experiment, and so the whole idea of eternal return is this unchangingness.
All right, but Tim makes it seem like so hard, like such hard work.
There is this possibility within it that in the moment within
of self-abandonment.
Of something hugely creatively beautiful.
Self-abandonment and Amor Fati.
That we
love.
can't. The idea of eternal return is horrible in the fact that everything's going to happen the same way over. There's
that's what Tim was arguing.
Nothing will ever get better.
Your cameras are going to malfunction.
I know. I'm just focused on Tim.
The idea is if you can accept it, things will get better. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, that's okay. Now Tim's going to say something.
I agree. That was I want to know though what the German word for essay is.
Versuchen.
Really? It's a Versuch?
Wait. Fair something. Hold on. Fair.
Oh my God, we still have 10 minutes. This is the most exhausting conversation I've ever had.
Well, versuchen is to tempt or to try.
It is versuchen.
Really?
Yeah.
It's an essay?
What are we going to do for the last 10 minutes? You guys, I think for the last 10 minutes, I'm going to see if anybody's watching and see if anybody wants to ask a question. Hold on, let me put my glasses on. I'm not getting
English,
okay, yeah, we have some people watching.
Aufsatz.
We have some people who were watching.
That's one word. The word versuchen. Look that up, and it will have
Holy shit! A lot of people were watching.
Yeah.
I don't know who's still watching. Guys, we have a lot of people watching.
In English that contains it.
You guys are ignoring me. Okay, stop, everybody. Okay, stop. Quiet. Okay, we're gonna do another minute now. We have 10 minutes, so we're gonna do another minute of meditation. All right. Who wants to? I'm gonna.
Do we have to meditate, Kim?
Yes, for 1 minute. We do. People
Tim
cannot keep up with you. Stop. Okay.
I want Tim to say
I'm just gonna. There's the light of God. All right. Okay. 1 minute of meditation. All right, guys. Here we go. Just to calm it down and get everybody.
I'm calm.
All right. Here we go. You're really smart. Okay. 1 minute. Go.
Your face is really smart.
Gus. Very childish. For whoever's watching, we're doing a minute of meditation just to reel it in a little bit. Okay, that was probably a minute. I wasn't really. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I've decided. Okay, Caroline's going to hold this phone on Tim. Tim's going to hold this phone on Caroline. All right, and then I'm just going to see if anybody has any questions. Okay. They'll come up. Okay, so I have the live going. Does anybody have any questions about Nietzsche and shame? Because, we're basically sort of trying to approach that topic. And I thought it was a very lively conversation. We're kind of winding it down. We have a few minutes left. And it's kind of, Nietzsche is, as Tim said when he got over here, he was like, how are we going to talk about Nietzsche? Nietzsche is so huge. Trying to talk about Nietzsche in 1 hour. And Caroline, as I said, she just got her PhD, and when she wrote her dissertation, she wrote about Emerson and Nietzsche, and she has a way, and for me at least, sometimes she's so articulate, but also very literary and wise, and I kept trying to synthesize it so that we would all kind of make sure we understood what she was saying, honestly, because you're a college professor, and sometimes, and Tim has a very, I feel like you have a very practical approach toward Nietzsche. That would be which borderlines on scary.
Well, the interesting thing, right, is that
we're not getting any questions.
That Nietzsche is probably like one of the most misquoted and misused
of the
philosophers, point. Right? I think even the "God is dead" quote. I'd love to hear what you think of it, because there's actually. Are you familiar with Jordan Peterson, the sort of like YouTube sensation? So
who's that?
He quotes. He's like a very, like he said, Trump supporting far right guy. And he loves Nietzsche.
Right.
What he basically says is when Zarathustra comes down from the hill, right, and says God is dead, he's not saying Yahoo, God is dead. He's saying God is dead, and you better run and hide, because nobody is paying any attention to the edicts of our religion anymore, and that's the only thing that's protected you for millennia. And now that nobody cares anymore, you're screwed. And that is his prediction for the 20th century, is now you guys are going to see hellfire rain down on you, because you no longer have any way of regulating your life, right? People no longer have any rules, because most people are just part of the herd.
Well, you keep bringing it back. Okay, so that's kind of why you make it scary too. Part of the reason it's scary.
But you're nodding, so you agree with that.
Well, wait. But part of the reason it's scary, Tim, is you keep bringing it back to Christianity. Like you.
It is very much about Christianity.
But I don't feel like you don't mention it all that much.
Yeah, no, it totally is. And Emerson was actually doing the same thing. He was saying the same thing.
What?
50 years prior to that, he was saying, in his divinity school address, he was saying that you guys are just conformists, and nobody really believes. And he wrote as if God were dead. You could. Some people have argued that Nietzsche got that phrasing from Emerson, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is that people are acting. They're just going according to the rules and the regulations of the religion, and not really feeling any aspect of the religion. There's no more feeling. There's only herd mentality. So.
Well,
or there's no real morality either. Not just a question of emotion, but a question of what's real benevolence, and what's good, and what's bad.
Morality.
But question of.
All right, we got to wrap it up. So I'm going to do the closing statement, because this is my show.
Good. I'm not going to interrupt you.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Caroline. This is Caroline Kelly.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Did you have fun?
I did. I felt I could be myself.
Oh, good. Did you did? Okay. Not become yourself. And Tim, this is Tim Lyons. Tim, how are you? Did you have fun?
Yes, I had a blast.
Oh, you had a blast? Okay,
yeah,
good. All right. Okay, so both my guests are still alive, and they seem happy, so that makes me feel good. And I'm going to wrap it up now. I'm we always have this experiment. We always have this sort of hold on a second. Okay. It's always an adventure. I want to thank everyone who's watching. It's always an adventure. And I don't, for some reason, we didn't get any questions tonight, but I have seen that a bunch of people are watching. So I don't know. Maybe people don't know what to ask, or maybe there's a glitch on my Facebook. I'll find out later. So we didn't get any questions, and I kept trying to dumb it down for me because I've always had Nietzsche books in my library, and I know how to spell his name, which isn't easy. Mostly I know how to spell it, and I've obviously had a little crush on Caroline's knowledge base around Nietzsche and Emerson, but I don't always understand it, and I don't always know how to apply it. And the thing about philosophers in general is that technically, I mean, we ought to or could hopefully use philosophy to help us live better, or to live more authentically, or to understand life, or I keep saying tonight, to be relieved a little bit of the burden of self. And for me, the burden of self, sometimes it has to do with shame. It can have to do with anything, really, but it just is kind of burden of, I want to say the burden of being. Like sometimes I'll say to myself, well, I don't want to be here. I never asked to be here. Like I never asked to be born. And why do I have to stay here and deal? And so I guess I feel like when you're in that headspace, this idea of self-abandonment could be relief. And also I think it's really interesting that if you trace Nietzsche and Emerson like backwards, like Nietzsche through Emerson, because he was writing before Nietzsche. So Nietzsche Caroline was pointing out, was influenced by Emerson. Then you're going to maybe end up in the sort of non-dualist tradition of the Eastern mystics. I don't even want to say religion because that word I don't like that word that much. And so that's super interesting. So really it's just like the tip of the iceberg tonight. And I think self-abandonment, like knowing that time is elastic, knowing that our subjectivity is up for grabs, that our Caroline's nodding, that makes me feel good, that our sense of who we are and what reality is definitely up for grabs, that Nietzsche was definitely experimenting and hoping that we would be open as readers to, or whatever, to being swayed a little bit out of our complacency. Yeah. And yeah, so, and any bashing that went on tonight was unintentional because we come from a place of love.
Bashing? Where was there bashing?
Well, you were bashing. Remember you said I don't want to bash the Christians or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody was bashing. I'm just saying.
There was no bashing.
No bashing. Mm. So anyway, in love and truth, we say to you, say it in German. What are you going to say? Bye? What do you say? Auf Wiedersehen?
Truce.
Is that right? Truce?
Truce.
Truce. Truce.
Truce.
Bye.
Truce.
Thanks, guys.